Hey friends, welcome back to DBC Inc. Live. We are so excited to have Christy back on the show with us. She was supposed to be on here. She was on here on Thursday, and then I was having country Wi-Fi problems. So of course we had to reschedule, but I'm so excited, Christy, to have you back on the show. Christy Whittlesey is our author of It's Okay to, is the author, so she's not mine. She's a DBC sister of mine, but she is the author of It's Okay to Say They. And we are so honored to, one, share her project with the world. We feel like this is a message everyone needs to hear, needs to understand, needs to take and apply in their practice. But more than that, we are just so excited that you took some time out of your busy day to be with us today. Christy, can you tell everyone who you are, where you're from, what you do, and yeah, let's just start there.
Sure. So hi, everyone. I am Christy Whittlesey. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am in Massachusetts. I have been an educator for 20 years in settings from pre-K to higher ed, and originally a music teacher. And for the past decade, I've been a fine arts coordinator and administrator in a school district north of Boston. So yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And I mean, because I'm in the trenches every day, I can tell you it's Monday. It feels like the week has already been 10 days long. It's at the end of the year. We're all exhausted. So the fact that you're here and interested in exploring different ways to support our students just means so much. So thank you.
Yes, and thank you for sure for being here. It is a busy time of the year. Every educator I've talked to in the system right now is just like feeling frazzled, feeling like they've already worked 3 days and it is Monday. So I'm so grateful to see so many of you over in the comments. We have Monica and Kristen and Amy and Dave. We're excited that you joined us tonight. And we'll just dive right into content. I know last time we talked a little bit. Well, before we do that, remember all these comments over here. Lena, thanks for joining us. We'll enter you to win a free It's Okay to Say They book. So we are really thrilled to be giving one of those away. We'll give it away tomorrow. We always leave the video up for anybody who's putting their babies to bed or feeding their kiddos, whatever it is. We understand, and we are all about family first. So please do keep those comments rolling as Christy's sharing. But Christy, we will just let you dive into the topic of tonight. I know you were going to share a little bit of, you gave them a little task when we left them on Thursday with that terrible connection to be mindful of how we are using our statements that reflect certain genders and maybe not welcoming other gender, like making our spaces more gender friendly. And I know that today you're going to give us some more strategies. We are supposed to be mindful of it, pay attention to it in the last few days. And so I'm hoping today that you'll share a little bit about some strategies to help make our spaces more gender friendly. And also, if you want to share a little bit about It's Okay to Say They, feel free to do that too.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. And I'm watching the comments, and it's so exciting. Okay. I'm glad that some people said that they did the homework. Kristen said she did her homework. Good job. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. I just kind of want to lead into what this book was all about briefly. I need to say that I am a cisgender person, and that just means that when I was born, the doctor looked at me and said, it's a girl, and assigned me female at birth. And my understanding of my own gender is that I am a lady. So I'm cisgender. So I don't have the lived experience of someone who is transgender, which, there are many, many different kinds of experiences and lives that trans people have. But I just want to make that clear. And I came to this particular work because in my practice in schools and working with organizations from around the country, I was noticing that we are increasingly having students share that they are trans or non-binary in our school environments. And it's great that these youths feel comfortable and, have an understanding of themselves enough to be able to do that in school. At the same time, I was also noticing that very well-intentioned educators may not have had the training or might not have the tools or the experience to adequately support all of our students, regardless of gender. So I was working toward my PhD in educational research at the time. I saw that there was really no good tool for educators to be able to have practical information about what do I do when, XYZ happens that they may not have encountered before. And so I jumped into that as my dissertation research. I worked with a number of trans and non-binary students from across Massachusetts, and we engaged in all kinds of discussions and arts-based research. They drew and took pictures, and we talked about those and really dug deep into their experiences in schools. And I wanted to learn from them, what was actually happening, and then what did they believe would be a positive change to make schools more gender friendly. And out of the dissertation came It's Okay to Say They. So my goal was to provide a practical, easy to read tool that educators could sit down with in one night and walk away going, okay, I can do XYZ and make some positive changes in my classroom and my school. And I really want to thank Dave and Shelley. This is an important topic for them, and they embrace this project wholeheartedly. And in fact, it was their idea to have this book be a fundraising book, and every sale of the book directly benefits San Diego Pride youth programs. So this is actually helping the people who we're talking about. So
I love that. And I see a lot of people, I'm going to let you continue, of course. I see a lot of people in the comments, though, just thanking you for providing this resource. Because I do honestly believe, Christy, I feel like there's a lot of teachers out there, I speak for myself, that want to support, but maybe just don't know how, or have just never been taught how. And I feel like that's one thing I gained so much from your book. It's just how relatable it was, and how it's not like it's ever easy to receive that you are doing something wrong. But I feel like if that is possible, your book did a really nice job of doing that for me anyway. Just like, hey, this is something that we need to be aware of, and this is how we can fix it. And I feel like you did that in such an approachable way. It felt so like you were my friend trying to help me. And so I'm really grateful for this project. I really feel like if you don't already have it, really the links are above and below this video. Check it out, because you can see the preview for free, and you can understand how much it's going to help you to be a better human, not just an educator, but better human to serve our people, no matter who we're visiting with, and make them feel valued and appreciated for who they are. So I'll let you continue, but I did love this comment from Dave, and I'm super excited for Finn, but Dave will be dodging out soon, because they are going to be celebrating Finn's top surgery success. So super duper excited for the Burgess family and all the wonderful things happening there. And I will let you continue with some strategies of how we can create more gender-friendly spaces. Christy, thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. So I just want to frame this and say it's Mental Health Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And this is really tied into that, because as Tara was saying, we really want to do right by our students. There's not one teacher, I think, who goes into schools wanting to traumatize kids. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes people just need a little extra information that we weren't given in school, or, we haven't learned yet. And we do a really good job, and we have a lot of training on differentiating for, different learning needs and styles. And we just maybe haven't gotten to this point in our training in all the districts. So it's important to think about the mental health of trans and non-binary students, because first of all, up to 3% of kids, of high school students, have self-identified as trans or non-binary on recent surveys. And that is a significant number. In a typical high school, that could be at least one full classroom of kids plus. And we know that the outcomes for our trans and non-binary students, as compared to our cisgender students, are more negative. And some of those outcomes are tied to mental and physical health issues. So the good news is that research also shows us that having supportive and affirming adults in a youth's life, and specifically in LGBTQIA youth's life, can reduce things like suicidality by about half. So there is such power in this work, and let's all get involved. But we can do this in easy ways. We don't need a lot of money. We can just start thinking about our practice. So I want to bring it back to the homework. And even if you didn't do the homework, you can jump in. So I had asked people to just walk through their halls in their school and start listening and paying attention to gendered language. And do you hear things like teachers calling students to attention by calling boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, or hey guys, just gendered language? I would love to know, did people notice that, or thinking about letters home that say son/daughter? You may not be typing in the chat right now, but someone wrote, I say guys all the time. It's such a matter of habit, and it makes me think of one student that I worked with. He talked about how when he was in school, there was one particular time early in his education where the teacher split. It was a PE class, and the teacher said, okay, boys, you're going to go over there and do this activity. Girls, you go over there. And this person froze. He didn't know what to do. And the kids around him were kind of laughing and thinking he was joking around. But he was really experiencing severe anxiety, because, as he describes it, the person he knew himself to be and the person that everyone understood him to be on the outside did not match. And he just didn't know where to go. So he froze. And this student was talking about when he was in kindergarten. So that's why when educators say, oh, I'm an elementary teacher, I don't have to worry about gender diversity, they'll handle that in middle school or high school. No, we have trans kids in our elementary schools across the country, across the world. The kids are thinking about gender and often questioning gender. So the more we can get away from using gender-based language when it's completely unnecessary, the more it will lift that constant burden and reminder for students, because schools are really built to reinforce a gender binary system. So if you don't neatly fit into a cisgender boy, cisgender girl category, then you're just reminded every day as you interact with sex-separated facilities like restrooms, locker rooms, with curricula that might not reflect who you are, and with educator practice that doesn't have this experience, that you just don't fit in this gender binary system. So we can call students scholars, mathematicians, scientists, musicians. We can think of, we're creative people. We can think of engaging ways to address and group students. So that's just a simple thing that, we just had to break habits. And I'm guilty of this too, and so I have caught myself saying, okay, girls over, no, like, don't use this language. Let's just be aware of it. And that'll go a long way. So Oh, Tara, I cannot hear you all of a sudden.
Oh, I was on. That is like the quote of the year, right? Oh, you're on mute. One of the things I've noticed too that works really good for me. Yeah, I love that one, Vicki. Yes, just calling them their mascot. That's perfect. Even on stories, like on Instagram stories, that's where I'm at all the time. And I will often say, hey, friends. I just don't even say like, hey, guys, or anything. I just say, hey, friends, whether or not they're my friend. they're signed up to be my friend, right? So that should work. I think anytime we can find a way to break that habit, like you said, it's something that we've done over and over and over sometimes. So it's really easy to like go back into that routine. But I think what we don't realize is what you're telling us with maybe a mental health awareness month, where we think we're just, oh, darn, sorry I did that. It could be something that really makes people feel devalued and unappreciated and as if they do not belong. And that is something I know educators never want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love these ideas.
Yeah, these are great ideas people are sharing. So yes, that's my first tip. Language. Think about language. Get away from using gendered language. 2, we can think about representation. So it's okay to acknowledge gender diversity. When I said hi to everyone, I introduced myself with my pronouns. I just said my pronouns are she, her, hers. And sharing your pronouns does a couple of things. First, it acknowledges that we understand that gender diversity exists and it's okay. Also, it normalizes the idea of sharing your pronoun and not assuming someone's pronoun based on how they look or how they sound. And so we can do things like include our pronouns in our correspondence as an email signature. And it's really okay to do that at every level. We can also promote the acceptance of a range of expression. And this, all the way down into preschool, we can talk about things like, well, are pink things just for boys or just for girls? Or how about trucks? Are they, get away from the idea of these really strong gendered norms. And there are really great books I have right next to me. I don't know if anybody's ever used this with their students, but Sparkle Boy is so cute. And it's just about a boy who likes to wear sparkly things and how his family supports him as he kind of navigates trying on different kinds of gender expression at school. And the moral of the story is, yeah, it's okay for boys to like sparkly things because they're just things and anybody can like them. So, acknowledging that it's okay to be who you are is another free and impactful way to support more gender-friendly schools. And, if you're a literacy person, I'm sure you're familiar with the work of Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop, and she is the woman who wrote about the idea of windows or mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors, where students need to see themselves reflected in the literature and see other identities looking through windows, and also make connections with different kinds of identities by stepping through a sliding glass door. And she was writing actually about how we need to have racial diversity incorporated into our literature in schools, but the same goes with gender diversity. And we're getting Amy's asking a question.
Yeah, we have a question here. Have you ever gotten pushback from parents? What would be the best way to address those parents?
Yeah, so I am working in Massachusetts. Here in Mass, we have state guidelines from the Department of Ed on gender diversity. And they, it pretty clearly lays out the proper protocol as far as using people's names correctly, using their pronouns, things like that. And and I understand that I'm lucky to have those guidelines here, and that every state does not offer that kind of protection for teachers, and also that some teachers feel like they are in a tight spot if they're, working for maybe administrators who aren't as supportive. But I think that we just need to stay focused on the well-being of our students. And, there's a lot of talk about social emotional learning and, and health of our youth. But, and so if we just keep focused on the kids and stay away from things like politics, it's really about the kids. And there are, beyond that vague answer, there are some really helpful resources. There's a resource specifically, I believe it's from HRC Welcoming Schools. And that is a great website, by the way, HRC Welcoming Schools. They actually give guidelines as far as, how to deal with it if a student or a parent or someone asks a difficult question or is challenging. And part of it is being prepared and, having an answer for, for example, I did have a student or a student's family member this year who was challenging our art teacher, who said that students could use sparkly nail polish to paint something on their project as an option. That pushed a parent's button, and they responded saying, "My child is a boy. Why are you telling him he can play with nail polish?"
Wow.
Kind of missed the point that this was an art project. But, there again, I kind of just said, we're not telling students that nail polish is for any particular gender. It's just nail polish. They can use it in their art project if they want to, or really however they want. So it's just an ongoing effort to advocate for these students who, frankly, often are exhausted from advocating for themselves.
Yeah.
So the more we can do, the better.
Definitely. I think too, like with parents, I don't know if you're going to echo. I'm getting a little echo. Sorry. With parents, it might be nice to, Amy, just to, remind them that we are making sure everyone feels included. And I know that we're saying the same thing, but I think no matter what learning setting you're in, no matter what environment or job or profession that you are in, everyone needs to feel like they are a part. You hired them, like if you're in a job setting, you hired them to be a part of your team. Everyone needs to feel valued for who they are. And with our students, we welcome them into our school. It's part of building that culture. And I think we just need to remind parents, we are making sure that everyone feels valued for who they are. And this is a part of it. Gender diversity is a part of it. And keeping it simple and clear and to the point. And I'm not going to do it differently. Like, I'm not going to exclude people because of like an upbringing or a tradition or something like that. I think it's just really important to stand your ground because our kids deserve it. They deserve for us to advocate for them. Like Christy said, they spend all their days advocating for themselves. And it's time for us to do that as well. I feel like it's our part. It's part of our duty. And so one of the things that we have over here is just some of us making confessions. I'm with you, Monica. It's true if we just go back to it. And I think being aware is always the first step to change. And that's beautiful. Like, you notice it, and even if you correct it in the midst of it, never mind. I'm going to say this. How about all of my friends come over here? Half of you can come over here and half of you over there if you need to split them up. But I think it's just great to recognize our faults and correct them. And it's okay to correct in the moment. It's good for students to hear us doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
They might be doing the same thing and then they're correcting themselves. And they're like, my teacher does this all the time. She says, no, we're not going to do it like that anymore. We're going to do it like this. And so raising them and training them to be advocates for all gender types too as well. So yeah, Christy, these are great ideas. I think it's so great that so many are reflecting too and thinking about their own practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love everything you just said. And as far as us, modeling is so important. And some educators have talked to me and said, well, if I say this in class, or what will the kids do, and will they make fun of this child who is presenting differently or experimenting with gender expression? And what I have just seen so many times is the kids will go with it. The kids are fine. And if Johnny comes in and he's wearing a sparkly skirt, and the kids haven't seen Johnny in a sparkly skirt, and they say, why is he wearing a sparkly skirt? And the teacher goes, he just wanted to today. That's all right. Then the kids are generally pretty cool with it.
Yeah, it's true. And they watch us. They watch everything we do. And I think, I'm all about being real, just keeping it real. Like whatever you would normally, if you notice something didn't go right, or you said something that you didn't want to say, correct it and admit to them. I'm not going to say that. I need you guys to help. You guys, see, I just said it again. I need all my friends to help hold me accountable for this, because I don't want to do that any longer. And so, and having that accountability with your students is so important.
And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I could talk about this all day long. I do want to say that I have a website, and there are tons of free resources on there, like the HRC resource that I talked about earlier. There are lesson plans. There's a gender plan. If a student comes, shares their gender status with educators, then it kind of guides the educators through the process of allowing the student to have the most control over who learns about this, keeps their confidentiality, and makes it a more safe environment for them. And anyway, all kinds of resources. So that's ChristyWhittlesey.com. If you want to learn more, please, go and poke around on there. And there are also many, many other resources. I'm just trying to make it more streamlined so people can jump right on there and find things at their fingertips.
Yes. And if you haven't ordered the book, please do yourself a favor. Click the link above or below this video, wherever you're watching it, and make sure to check out the preview. You can get a preview of the book for free. It's like a good chapter and a half of it that you can see. And so, and then check out Christy's website, ChristyWhittlesey.com. You can also follow her on Twitter. Do you want to share your social media handles?
Sure. It's at Christy Whittles on Twitter. And I'm on Instagram too, but I don't know what my handle is off the top of my head. It's Christy Whittlesey.
Go find her. It's your homework. We got another homework assignment. But yeah, do check it out. She has some great resources on her website. And yeah, if you have any questions, be sure to ask Christy. She's very approachable. I love that about our authors. I feel like we kind of pride ourselves with knowing that our authors are going to be approachable and loving to the readers and to the learners out there. So if you have any questions, or you're trying something in your class, or you need some more ideas, do reach out, share what you're doing, make it known, some things that you're trying differently. You're going to change your language in your classroom. And I think a lot of our friends, our PL family out there will be receptive to learning some of that too for their students. So thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Remember, we will be choosing a winner from these comments. So if you're watching this on the replay, put something over in the comments so your name will be entered to win. It's okay to say they. And yeah, Christy, you have any last words you want to share?
Yes, I would love to. So I hope that you'll be inspired not only to think about how to create more gender-friendly classrooms and schools, but you might take it a step further and advocate in your communities. Be a vocal advocate for trans and not. If your library doesn't have inclusive books, ask them why not. And unfortunately, right now, there are, that's my dog going down the stairs. There are about 28 states that have pending or passed legislation that is going to actively harm trans youth. So let's, if you're in one of those states, write to your representatives. Let's get involved in this fight to create a more supportive, inclusive, and equitable community where we are.
Yes, indeed. Well, Christy, thank you so much for your insight, for all your wisdom, and for helping educate us to be better educators, because I think all of us, that's what we want to be, just better than we were yesterday. Every day growing and getting better and better serving those that we love and care so much about. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight. We are always honored. We will have our DBC Live normal show on Thursday, assuming I don't lose my Wi-Fi again. And Christy, thanks for rescheduling on this Monday. It's such an important topic, and I did not want us to miss out on this awesomeness.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Bye, everyone. See you Thursday.